Hello, everybody out there. This is the Republitarian, and I'm here with a few of my friends here. This is episode 1 of Issues in America. Anybody can be racist. So, without further ado, I'll give it to my friend here to introduce himself.
My name is Will. I am your local black man checking in.
Hi, my name is Amaya. I'm your local international student here in America. Checking in.
Copy that.
And I'm the Republitarian.
Yeah.
And this is Justin.
Yeah, I'm Justin Gonzalez, also called Bread, and I shit talked in this podcast.
This is Issues in America.
Let's try and talk about some definitions here. So racism. Justin, I think you had
All
a
right.
definition.
Yeah, so let's just do 3. Racism is basically just if you have preconceived notions of what you would qualify as extreme prejudice. You can't just be like some prejudice doesn't quite make you racist. Like, I don't know, Asians have narrow eyes. Like, that's not. I mean, I guess it's a prejudice, but you know,
It's a
just an
stereotype.
example. I'm starting off with an example. Definition: racism is basically just a higher level of prejudice, primarily focusing on the belief that your race is inherently superior to the other for less than rational reasons, for the most part. Basically, just bigoted ideology. Institutionalized racism is when a group of people, any one group or multiple groups of similar people from similar nations come together, whether it's white or Hispanic or Asian or whatever, and say, all right, we are setting up rules here, and we're going to make sure that you are fucked over because we don't like you, blah, blah, blah. That would be the power aspect. That's the different one. There is some argument that black people can't have institutional racism in America. That's really the argument, I guess. And then the final one is just prejudice, which is anything from stereotypes to, all Mexicans are rapists and evil and coming across the border. And then they don't say, and some, I assume, are good people. They leave that out. They just say all Mexicans are rapists and evil. And that's pretty much the 3 there.
All right, so you hit prejudice there.
Yeah.
So prejudice is just basically any sort of
Hatred.
Yeah.
For another race group, yeah.
Yeah.
So, like, the argument right now is that black people can only be prejudiced. They're not capable of being racist because they lack the power to exert, like, institutional racist authority over white people.
Prejudice isn't limited to race.
No,
It's
not.
like,
Nationalism.
it's really a blanket term. It could be nationalism, sex,
Religion.
yeah, race. Prejudice is more so the upper level.
Yeah. Like, when people talk about, like, Islamophobia and shit, like, they like to say racist just because it's more powerful, but it's really prejudice.
Because it's why you said this a while back. You could term racist. You could really define racism as extreme prejudice.
Yeah.
Because you are prejudiced towards this one race of people.
Right. Or maybe all of them that aren't yours.
Yeah. Race war now.
Gas the bikes.
So one of the problems that I have with this new definition of racism, that it requires some sort of institutional power. At what point do you attain the power?
Man,
And
you are asking the wrong side of people.
Yeah, dude. I mean,
that's the problem.
If I had to think, if I had to just like give you one, I guess they believe that. I was having a conversation with the family a while back, who thought black people didn't have any power, and because of that, they wind up in these bad positions where they're selling drugs or gangbang or whatever. Because I have power because I know that if a professor or something shorted my grade because I'm black or something, that I could fight them or whatever and get them fired or something. But some other black person may not have that power because they don't know that they can fight that. They just think that institutionalized racism is just going to keep them down no matter what.
They're not woke.
They're not. Yeah, they're not woke.
Yes.
There you go. They're not woke. They're not woke. Yeah. There you go. And so, like, I have more power than they do.
They're asleep, and so they're taken advantage of by the honky devil.
It was more of a rhetorical question in that I just wanted to point out a flaw
It's subjective.
in that argument.
Yeah.
It's the question you're asking me. It depends on who you ask.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
In America, I can't think of any examples of like institutionalized black-led racism against white people. I can't recall that in American history.
Not yet.
Yeah, I don't think there are any laws that were really put on the books similar to like Jim Crow or the Black Codes.
Yeah.
So that's something, and that's really the biggest thing that people come back to. It's like there's a whole it goes on forever, but here's just like the cliff notes. And I'm sure you've heard of all this stuff too.
Yeah.
Like the idea that like there's an argument that white people started the like fury in the black community between light-skinned people and dark-skinned people. And, like, it's because black people feel terrible about themselves that they buy, like, skin lightening cream, and that it's because of white people that there's a lack of generational
self-hatred.
And it's because of white people that there's no why Oscar's so white. It's because of, like, the prevailing idea. That actually, interestingly enough, might be because of the Asian film market. Because if you've ever seen the posters for Star Wars, Finn is super, like, not, like, in the American poster, he's right there, like, yeah, I got a black dude with a lightsaber. In like, the South Korean, the Japanese, and Chinese release, he's, like, underneath Han Solo's chin. Like, you barely see him. But basically the idea is that, like, there's a history to it, you know?
Yeah.
And that almost is more important to a lot of people than... Well, I wouldn't say it's more important than the power aspect, but it's directly linked to it. There were instances of power. And
I would argue that, maybe you could argue that some things aren't completely even now, but the field isn't completely low.
No, it totally isn't.
No.
A lot of what was fought for and bled for and died for back then, by the people who were in the 60s, by the people who came before them, the 1800s and all that. All the struggles that those people went through, it was so that we could have, the equal opportunity. So that the playing field could at least be attempted to make level. And granted, that might not be true today, but a lot of what people do today is they try and make white people answer for the transgressions of their ancestors. And that shouldn't be, because obviously that they had nothing.
Right, they're
to do
not
with
guilty.
it,
Yeah.
So the only thing they have them, they share the same name, and they have the same color skin. Obviously, I wouldn't feel right asking for reparations, because that didn't happen to me or anybody that I know of in my family. This whole new definition of racism, this whole prejudice plus power thing, it's not real. It's not a real definition. It doesn't exist. Anyone can be racist so long as you hold the belief that your race is better than anyone else's for whatever reason.
Yeah, and I think it's important to mention, too, that while racism might be more prominent in certain groups, it doesn't mean it's exclusive to that group or it's not possible to exist in others. And I think it's not just strictly about genocide, but we could point to plenty of genocides which are perpetrated by darker-skinned individuals. Justin brought up the Tutsis in Rwanda, in Mao, in China, Japanese, the Mongolian conquests. We can talk about the Armenian genocide, the Haitian massacre.
We're just as bad as white people. Just as bad, if not worse.
We established that anybody can be racist.
Yeah.
But why is it important to acknowledge that? Because I think a lot of people say, like, when I was talking about making this video, people were saying, well, why are you doing this? And I think it's important to acknowledge it, because it can prevent people who are victims of crimes. But to a certain extent, why is it important to recognize?
Well, it's important to recognize it because we seem to have forgotten that.
Yeah.
It's with all the narratives going around today, all the Black Lives Matter stuff, all the feminist stuff. It's people seem to have forgotten that anybody can be racist, anybody can be sexist. It's just not these groups of people that have issues. Some other groups have issues too. So people don't really recognize that. They seem to think that it's the center of the universe narrative. The main character of the story.
Yeah.
Where everything revolves around you, and if it happens to you, then it's something that needs to be dealt with now. But no, it's definitely a thing that anybody can be racist. You know?
Yeah. What we gotta remember is like there's a big tendency to be like America centric, like talk about only Black Americans in this concept.
Yeah.
Like I mean, all you have to do is look at Africa. The amount of between tribal warfare and just blatant racism that's existed, between different groups of people living on the continent, whether it's if you go both sides are brutal, like what the Boers in South Africa did to the Black tribe, particularly, what was it? Fuck, I can't remember the name of the tribe. Shit.
It's okay.
Yeah, it's whatever. It doesn't matter. Point is, everyone knows that South Africa was fucked up. You had apartheid in the beginning, and then after everything, when Mandela came into power, you had the, basically slaughter of white farmers that weren't doing anything other than being white farmers. And then, obviously you've got the Tutsi and everything, and then UN says we're about to be on the brink of a genocide in South Sudan. So, there's plenty of racial and tribal and ethnic tension going on around the world outside of America.
Yeah. When people come with these narratives of, okay, not just, this doesn't apply to Black people, but, the whole idea that when you talk about terrorism, you can't really, if you say the word Muslim, you're automatically, you're automatically a racist. Everybody hates you now. It's like you can't talk about these things, it's stupid. I mean, blame whoever the fuck you want, though, is what I'm saying. Blame whoever the hell you want, but at the end of the day, everybody's looking for the answer to the problem. And, it seems as though the answer is, I blame the government for all my problems, therefore the government should be responsible for solving all my problems. I mean, to an extent, sure, the government has some responsibility to fix itself in the regards that it is skewed against us in some areas or whatever. If you want to make those allegations, if you can prove those allegations, sure. But a lot of it they can't help. A lot of it it's beyond their control.
Yeah.
Well, I think there's still things that they can do. Like,
granted, no, I'm yielding it, but I'm saying, for instance, the whole cultural war that's been fighting, within our races, this whole rebel against authority. This whole any authority figure is out to get you. Any white guy is going to put you under his boot if you give him the chance. So you'd best not cooperate with them at any point in time, otherwise you're going to end up in a bad spot. It's this fear mongering. It's like turn on the radio and listen to any rap song. What do you got? You got some guy talking about how he's got bitches, hoes, money, and he likes to deal drugs and escape cops. And so this ideology sort of spreads and festers. And what have you got now? You got a bunch of people who are afraid of cops or either hate cops and would do anything in their power to either escape cops or kill cops.
Well, yeah, people are being polarized.
So,
that's
That's so my thing about it is,
and it's being glamorized too. The lifestyle.
The government can't stop it. They can't help with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If they tried to help with that, they'd only make the problem worse. So that's something.
I wanted to say something because you actually reminded me, and it's a good way to contest this new definition that we were talking about.
Yeah.
The fact that it's stated that white people, historically they've had the power, but is it really institutionally stated that white people have the power in this country? Because I feel like a lot of these communities that have these problems, like they have Black mayors, they have Black police chiefs. We just until recently had a Black president, and sometimes like in Flint, Michigan, I think like most of the town board is Democrat. There's a lot of Black people who hold power in there. So, is it necessarily that it's white people holding power, or is it just incompetence?
It's half and half. You can prove that the Nixon administration targeted their political enemies and people they didn't like, which happened to be Black people and hippies. And that's a big part of the reason why they legalized a lot of the drugs like marijuana and mushrooms and everything like that. And went after them.
In Amsterdam?
No, in the 70s, in the Nixon administration. It's like on tape. It's part of the Nixon tapes. You could look it up. We knew that people were doing these drugs and that they wouldn't harm you, but if we made it a Schedule whatever drug, we could prosecute
illegal.
them.
Okay.
Yeah. So the part of the drug war had racial and political motivations behind it. Beyond that, what I was saying before about like redlining areas, like the only reason you have people living in poverty and crappy neighborhoods in the first place is because of what used to happen before when it was legal for housing organizations to say, hey, you have got to live over there. Like you guys, what's that book with Bigger Thomas, Native Son? You read that?
No, I haven't.
Nah, yeah, whatever. Point is, well, if you read it, you get the. It's like a long like narrative to sort of go over. But yeah. Then there's like the present stuff. Like Obama was president. We've got a whole bunch of black judges and legislators and lawyers and business owners. The argument that you don't have the power to be racist as a black person, has been true for a while. There are plenty of powerful people that they're everyone of pretty much every racial group, except maybe like Aboriginal people from Australia, has some level of power and the ability to be prejudiced or racist if they wanted to.
So the people who perpetuate this definition, they really can't point to any real world examples, so they rely on it's an implicit bias.
Oh no, there's real world examples. I mean, like
of legislation that
and it can't die.
What was that?
Racism isn't dead and it can't die.
No, I'm not saying it's not there. I'm just saying that they point to a lack of institutional power, or that the institution is racist against them. I'm saying is to point to those legislation or point to the institutions that are racist. And they can't, so they rely on the implicit bias.
I mean, you've got instances. Eric Garner is probably the best example of
was that the Stanford
That was the
kid?
guy. No, that was the dude in Staten Island who was selling Lucy cigarettes and got choked to death by that cop.
Okay, but that's not a racist institution. That's a racist idiot cop.
Oh, so you don't blame the larger system at all for the shooting?
Do you think the police stations are training people, training cops to like target and kill black people?
No, but I do think they're being trained to be afraid of this around.
Yeah, dude, they're pretty fucking spooked when they get into.
But is that institutionally racist?
No, but it has to do more with profiling. It's more profiling. Like when you walk into a shady area, obviously where there's high drug traffic, and there's high homicide traffic, all this shit that you would have to deal with. They're training you to be on your guard. They're training you with the hand on the holster. And most of the time these guys don't know the community. They don't know the people who are around there. So a lot of people are afraid of them just as they are afraid, of everybody else around them. So when something happens or when something seems awry and they have to go check it out, they are fucking spooked.
Right.
Yeah, dude.
But what's the alternative?
No, but the main thing is like
there's community.
No, you just said before it was like there. So there are no instances of on the books like institutionalized racist laws or anything like that. I can't think of any off the top of my head, but I know there's a few. I know there's ones that disproportionately affect people. Like the 3-strike rule in general is a bad idea because it takes power away from the courts. And if you're in an environment where there are a lot of cops taking you away for low-level offenses, then you're going to prison for a long time for loitering or something in some cases. Usually it also includes like a petty crime like theft or something like that, but I'm not entirely certain that you have to take the power of a judge away and force people to go away for 3 years in those instances when they're living in over-policed, not over-policed, highly policed areas. Let's put it like that. And yeah, I'm just not convinced that the assertion that there's absolutely nothing racist on the books today is true.
I'm with it. I do yield that there are instances of that's just something that's going to exist forever. And I was talking to somebody about this. They were saying that there's some way to beat racism. They were implying that you could fight racism and beat it. And that's exactly what I asked. I asked how. And they said more black people in office, more black people in positions of power. I'm just like, well, you're just going to flip the spot. You're just going to flip the scales out. Because you got these angry black people who don't like white people, and then you're going to put them in positions of power, and then you're going to scrutinize all the white people. And so it's the same thing. It's just different colors. But I do yield that there are definitely instances of. I always say that you can't beat racism, but you can certainly fight it.
Yeah.
It's just a fight that neither side can win, really, so long as the other keeps it up. But
so, are you conceding then that racism requires power?
No.
No, just the will to be racist. Yeah.
The will to be racist and the will to fight it. They both need to exist for the balance to be struck.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Okay, that's fair.
Oh yeah, I forgot to say I looked up I typed into Google can black people be racist, and the first how they do a quote now to answer your question. Yeah. It was this dude saying I'll just read the quote. Why not? Give me a second here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Definitely not conceding.
Can black people be racist? So this is like the Google quote that you get after it. My assertion is that a black person's attitude toward white skin could be prejudice, not that black people are racist. The usage of the word racist relative to a hate speech by blacks on blacks or whites is incorrect. A subjugated group cannot be racist, they can only be prejudicial, which is entirely the sort of power construct thing.
I can see. I guess I can understand where they're getting it from.
Right.
You know, they're saying that. You know, we were talking earlier about how racism, you know, sort of requires some action to it. It can be inactive and active.
Yeah.
But they're. I guess they're assuming that it does require action.
I mean, like,
because of the fact that
this is what I mean when I say it's totally like you don't have to do anything to like be racist.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's like let's just use like the tried and true example of like separated America or apartheid South Africa. Like if you're just like an average citizen and you're just following the company line and like all your neighbors are saying white people are better, let's go to this white only place, and then you also get pissed off when like a black dude trying to show his rights shows up into the white only territory, but you don't really do anything, but you're actively pissed off, and that's like a factual thing like you admit later in a documentary. Yeah, pretty sure that you're being racist, right?
Yeah.
Like I don't want black people in this restaurant. That's just not fucking happening.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I can see where they're getting it from.
Right. So that's like the inactive
because of the
part.
fact that I guess a lot they're referencing the instances that you brought up. You know, where you actually have instances of racism or whatever, and where the black person couldn't do anything, or the black populace couldn't do anything about it. And so they're saying that we didn't have the power to do anything, therefore we could only express our hatred or our dislike of them, given that they're white. So that only makes us prejudiced and not racist. Where that's not really the case at all.
It's mostly like institutionalized racism. Like
Yeah,
that's the
yeah.
agreement I came, or like, because I've had this argument with a friend of mine before, and like you need like without power, it's impossible to be racist. Only prejudice. That's the only thing you can do. And I was like, well, man, what about like Obama, man? I mean, I know he wasn't, but he could have.
He could
have been racist, right? And he's like, yeah, but he wasn't, so that doesn't count. Oh shit! I just lost on my train of thought. Oh yeah, right. Institutionalized racism.
I mean, I could even point to a couple examples where I think Barack Obama antagonized a lot of white people. Like I don't know. I think it was in Dallas, the cops that were shot. He went to a press meet with the families of the dead officers and basically lectured them and was like, "Listen, you need to concede to these black people that." Black Lives Matter is essentially like a valiant movement, and he was saying it to the cops, dead cops' families.
Yeah, I remember that he had a thing after that, and there was this huge crowd, and the families were sitting behind him, and he was just basically saying, "Look, we need to fix our corrupt cop system or whatever." I don't remember his exact words, obviously. If I had him in front of me, of course somebody could...
The only scandal I remember from that was George Bush telling jokes and making Michelle and Barack laugh during the funeral. That's the only...
That racist!
Yeah.
He made them laugh!
That's the only scandal I can remember, because Bush was just doing his Bushisms and being I don't give a fucking shit.
You know what I'm sad?
Did you? I'm sorry. Did you see him at the inauguration? He was just staring
No,
around like a little boy.
He's on record saying, "I'm pumped to not be the worst president in American history anymore." Oh, that's what he thinks. That's what he's hoping, anyways. He wants Trump to fail so that his legacy gets a boost.
Well, his family supported Clinton.
Hmm?
They were Clinton supporters through and through, which is I think partially because of Jeb, how he just destroyed Jeb. But
Jeb, what a failure!
Jeb should be the...
Jeb is a disgrace.
Please clap. I'm really mad that it get memed harder. Like,
do you have pocket turtles? Do you want some of my pocket turtles?
he came up to me and he gave me a little turtle.
Jeb, did you give that little boy a turtle? Yeah, sure. I carry him around in my pocket all the time.
When was this?
Dude, it was a long time ago. I guess
When he was still a thing.
early 2016.
Back before the New
I wanna
Hampshire
say.
primary.
Oh.
So, when was that? A while ago.
Yeah.
but we're getting off topic. Where were we
Yeah,
at?
Jeb wasn't. Oh, right. I said something about institutionalized racism. You need power for that.
Yeah.
For the most part, like, and that's something that really. Some people go hardcore and say affirmative action is racism towards everyone that's not a minority. I'm not convinced. I just think that it needs to be
I think it's stupid.
reorganized
I
a
don't think
bit.
it's necessarily racism. I think it's stupid.
Oh, you're against like the entire institution of affirmative
I mean,
action?
no, if I benefit from it, I'll use it, whatever. I mean, I'm a black guy. If you want to hire me for that reason, whatever. But I'm still gonna say it's stupid. You know, like, me and Austin here, we were, say, in the same field, and we ended up, applying to the same place. If I got into affirmative action, I'm not complaining, but it's still kind of dumb.
Mm.
If we have, let's just say we've got the exact same test scores, the exact same GPA, the exact same grades, all that shit. But I got in because I'm black and I used to play football or whatever.
Well, if you're exactly the same, it's literally, you're probably. It would be worse, like, if you were, like, a failing student and he was, like, a A.
Obviously, that's much worse. But,
Yeah.
like,
That's what happens in India.
Yeah, I know.
if like, we were the exact same, but I got in.
All right, hang on, wait.
Every Sunday.
Amin, why don't you tell us about the situation with the Dalits and the Brahmin and all that?
I am actually not too knowledgeable.
I only know a teeny bit about it, but that's basically what people want. Like what's going on in India is what people want. So like, what's the situation over there?
Like, I'll give you an example. There's like one test which everyone has to give to get into college. It's like the best colleges in India. So for example, if I'm like upper caste, there's like a different set of marks for me to get into the college, and like a different set of marks for like the Dalits. And there's a huge gap. So for example, if for me it was
What caste are you?
upper caste, but like the second one.
So not right below Brahmin, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I can't remember the name.
Yeah, so for me it was like 250 out of like 400 something, and for the lowest college it was like 70.
Wow.
Like not even 20.
So it's actually laid out in numbers.
Yeah.
Wow.
The LA Times broke a story on that. We've got something kind of similar like that, and I'm only gonna say it real quick because I want to keep on going. Like, so if everyone here got like a 1550, they break it up in like racial groups. They take away 50 points from Asians. White people just get normal, ordinary stuff. Hispanics get plus like 100 points, and black people get plus like 200 points on their SAT. And that's the normal model for how colleges look at SAT scores when they're considering affirmative action.
I want to go back to what you were saying though about the job, like if we apply to the same place, because this is an argument that I hear a lot about regarding like this implicit bias. Like, so your name is William, which could be anybody's name, but if your name was Tyrone,
my name was Tyrone Biggums.
yeah, and I'm John Smith. Like to a certain degree, is there a discrimination that goes on there?
People say there's discrimination with names.
Yeah, there is.
There probably is.
I mean, I knew a girl named LaQuisha.
LaQuisha, nice.
Yes.
I only knew a girl named Tamika.
She was every bit as foot radish as you would imagine her to be.
Oh man, don't bring her up.
Sometimes stereotypes are true. They're for a reason.
Find me. Oh man, that'd actually be scary though. So maybe I should. Yeah, no, she was just like that. She was just like that.
Alright. But do they get like money or anything from the state? Like, do they get a lot of subsidies or anything like that? The Dalits, like, do they get like, here's your government check for thousands of years of us making you scrub toilets?
No.
No.
There's no welfare system. But the point is like it's never ending. Earlier it used to be like 25% are reserved for these people. Now it's 50. Now it's going to be more than 50. Now, and after that, they were also asking for like preference in promotions and jobs. So like it's not.
And you got a lot of quotas too, right?
Yeah.
Like even in your government, there has to be like a certain number of women and a certain number of each group of people. Yeah, that quotas when those come in, it gets kind of.
So
I mean, it's all arbitrary.
Yeah, it's not like America. So you can like tomorrow you can start a party for like certain group of people. And you contest an election like promising I will give you like 5% out of the 50. Like they'll vote for you.
Yeah.
That's what happens. It's a pretty bad system.
Do they have first past the post in India, or is it just like how does the voting system work?
I don't understand.
Like how are people elected?
Yeah, it's like America, but
Yeah.
it's electronic voting.
Okay. All right. So it's pretty much the same.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's
So I
like the
wanted.
popular vote.
So let's talk about some areas in particular. So I guess I'll start off. I know quite a bit about Rochester, and I'll get into that. But I guess I'll start off by asking you, Will, like, what have you seen in Philadelphia?
I've seen a lot. I mean, obviously not in front of me because that would put myself in danger. But I've seen the stories or whatnot on the news or whatever. I've seen the narratives. I've known people who have done this, but I've seen people shoot other people because they were wearing the shoes that they wanted and they couldn't get them that day, and so they were kind of mad because they were being stunted on. I've seen people kill other people, for sleeping with their girlfriend or whatever. Seen people get beaten up because they were talking to some guy's girlfriend. I mean, this is like such a it's a brutish thing, where people are black on black crime is already that's a discussion in itself. But I'm saying, like, I've seen all these things, and there seem to be problems that can be easily fixed by just going, hey, you're black, I'm black, let's not kill each other. But instead, it seems to be that the blame is being placed on the white man, institutional racism, and all this stuff that you would look outside of our own borders for, all this stuff that you could place on someone else. When really, I think you could do a lot of good by a little bit of introspection, yielding, of course, that there are things that happen that are beyond our control. But for instance, I was talking about the justice and all that, but things that we can deal with are this sort of hatred of authority that a lot of black people have. You see it all the time in rap songs. You see it all the time in movies, TV shows that are black. Not all of them, granted, but a lot of them, yeah. There seems to be this narrative of don't trust the authority, don't trust the cops.
Like how do you then channel it in a positive way? I don't see
You
it
can't
like
channel it positive.
necessarily as a bad thing.
What do you mean? You don't see it necessarily as a bad thing?
Yeah, see, you already have this idea, like the state is out to get you.
Yeah.
How do you channel this idea into a positive?
You take it with a grain of salt, really. Obviously, you can't come into life. This is with anything. You can't come into life thinking that everything's sunshine and lollipops and nobody's going to, try and take advantage of you, deceive you, or anything like that. Because that's obviously going to happen at some point, and you're going to be sitting there with a knife in your back. But to assume that every single person, in every single instance, is out to get you is bad.
Specifically the government.
Yeah, specifically the government, anybody in the government, anybody in the justice system, any cop, anybody who's above you, anybody who has authority over you is out to get you. That's obviously a negative effect. But if you were to, I guess to answer your question, channel in a positive way, you would have to just take it with a grain of salt. Not apply it to everybody. But when something doesn't go in your favor, don't just jump to racism. Don't just jump to institutionalized racism. Jump to like this guy's corrupt or something, or get something out of it. Jump to like maybe I've done something wrong. Let me review everything that I've done so far. But once all that's out the door and you have a clear idea that this might be racism, then you can jump to that. But to channel in a positive way, you would have to take everything with a grain of salt. You would have to say, all right, I may not trust this cop because I don't know him and he's white and all these things are happening. These things are happening across the United States, but that's no reason to just assume that he's out here to kill me. There's no reason to just
I just heard talk in the Rubin report with Larry Elder. He said like before Medicaid, before health insurance, like black people in Chicago are more likely to have health insurance than white, because there were like mutual aid societies.
Mm-hmm.
So like people are taking care of other people. Like they had like black families were more intact in that time, like before the welfare state and Medicaid.
Well,
I think Amaya brings up a good point because about the state, because it's hard to really channel it, because when you have severe distrust of the authority in the state, it's hard to then have a state-provided solution to some of these problems.
Yes. Yeah,
so the other issue with that is that, okay, well then the change has to come internally, but the people who are in there or who are in these communities are trying to get out of these communities for the most part. If they don't want to stay there because it's not a good environment, if they're rational people, they recognize, I can't
There's
raise a
nothing for you
family here. I can't. Like the story that you said earlier about the girl. Do you want to just say the story again?
Yeah, basically my sister was with this guy. She made some mistakes. And my niece was born out of wedlock. And it was a really bad situation for the little girl. And just one day he up and ran out on her, and she lives with us now. My sister and my niece, her daughter. And basically it was a really bad apartment. She had asthma, she had eczema, and all that. But she lives with us now, and she's much healthier, much better off. And it's basically like instead of staying there, she had to leave the community. Basically, she had to leave out of that situation in order to seek a better life. Because there's nothing for you there. I brought this up earlier. The government can't. If you're gonna blame the white guy for all your problems and say the white guy needs to fix all the problems that he caused, and then refuse to let the white guy try and fix the problems that he caused, well, it's a hard thing to do. The change it has to come from our people.
Nah, I mean, I don't know how much refusal there is to let reparations happen, but
I mean, not like that.
Yeah, no, or let people come in and help the community.
Yeah.
But like part of the reason that there's no significant majority really in any group, because there's actually a lot more black people than you think who really don't want reparations.
Yeah.
Is because everyone would have to pay the taxes.
Mm-hmm.
We'd all be liable to pay for that. It probably cost a few $100 million just to figure out who we'd have to pay through researching and archiving, and then after that, I mean, I don't know. People can't handle it. They get their jimmies rustled. Yeah. And then also, like what you were saying is, we live in a different time. It's not the 60s anymore.
Yeah.
Which is part of the reason why Black Lives Matter is sort of not an anomaly, but they have issues properly protesting.
Yeah.
There is no white-only restaurant.
I go into this all
there is...
Yeah.
You're not being kicked out of the restaurant. If you're being denied a job application, a lot of the time you can look at and compare who got hired opposed to you and say, that guy was pretty qualified. He probably deserved that job. It might not be because of my race. You can't, there's no freedom rider opportunity. It's hard to protest a system that really isn't nearly as bad as it used to be.
Yeah, and I go on about this all the time, Black Lives Matter. The reason why I give them points for some things that they bring up, not everything, is because there's a whole outline to this. Number one is the fact that they have no organization. There's no head of this.
It's not your granddad's protest group, dude. Yeah, totally decentralized and chaotic.
There's no organization.
Yeah.
There's chapters of it everywhere, and some of them have heads there. They have heads of Black Lives Matter Pennsylvania, Black Lives Matter Philadelphia, whatever. But there's no overarching organization of it.
Yeah.
Number two is you said it yourself. They have nothing to protest really.
It's hard.
They don't have any terms that they want to bring up. And when they're asked to come and sit down at the table, all right, what do you want to talk about? I don't know if you've seen this interview with the guy. You remember the pigs in a blanket for back in the day?
No, I don't remember that.
Basically, some guy got brought up on CNN. And the anchor was just like, "Well, what do you want?" And he's just like, "Well, the idea is for us to stop getting killed and for police brutality to end." He's saying, "Okay, I acknowledge that. How do we do that? What do you want to change? What legislation do you want to rewrite?" And he's just circling around, beating around the bush, not giving a straight answer. And I'm like, this is why people don't support you.
To be
this
fair,
is why no one follows.
That's common political.
This was the issue as well.
But when you're invited to come to the table, when you're invited,
he is
to
an activist. So the standards are different. Yeah.
No, he was leading this.
Yeah.
He was leading a chapter of this, I believe. But
no, you're right.
When you're invited to come sit down at the table, you have to have a list ready. And when you don't have a list ready of things that you want to talk about, things you want to change, how do you expect anybody to get behind you?
This was the issue too with Occupy Wall Street, and a few years back is that they didn't really have any central organization, and they kind of just fizzled out after a while. Yeah. With Black Lives Matter, I think it's a bit more targeted in that it's just about race, but really that's as far as you can go. And I think because of that lack of leadership and that lack of centralization, they get attributed to a lot of false narratives to their movement, and they get picked up really easily. And so it's hard to support them or even look at them as a legitimate group when there's so many differing beliefs and so many false narratives like we saw in Ferguson. Mm-hmm. And I think it more just has to do with the general anger. Occupy Wall Street was anger from the lower class.
That's all the
and
same
now,
they have.
yeah, and now
That's all
it's
the same
anger
they
from
have.
the minority communities.
I hadn't seen a whole lot from Black Lives Matter regarding any policy changes or anything that they actually want to come to the table and talk about. What the movement fuels itself off of is just pure anger. Okay, so a black guy gets shot. The media picks it up. It carries across all of Facebook, all of Twitter.
Well, the thing is, that's right there. You have
I'm saying, like,
a different level of outrage for the guy getting shot. Like, we've had Tamir Rice, Eric Garner, that dude running away in, I think, Virginia or North Carolina because he thought he was going to have to pay child support if the cop caught him. Those are all instances where nobody needed to die. Like, that was completely unnecessary. And as we mentioned before, it's because they're totally shitting their pants with fear at the moment.
Yeah.
That's my personal belief. That fear probably comes from some sort of racial bias, but and I don't really know how to solve it really either because, you know, you gotta be afraid for some reason. But
I think we can't be afraid to try different things,
Right.
and I think that's a huge problem too, is that people are too afraid to take a serious stance because it is still a hot
But in the
topic
meantime,
issue.
in between police shootings, because those are obviously the big unifying factor of Black Lives Matter, there is not a bus to fill. There's not. I mean, you could protest in the street, but you're not like going to the courthouse that's denying you voting rights. You're protesting the next future attack.
You're angry about this, and I
Yeah.
can see you're angry about this. But when I ask you, how do we change this, and you don't have an answer.
Well, no, people do reparations. There you go. That's
Yeah, there you
it's there. There is an answer.
That's
It's just
how you- that's how you
it's
fix
just
it.
that you disagree
That's how
with
you
it.
fix
Yeah.
it. It's,
Reparations and
But see, you can't even
affirmative
say that.
action.
You can't even say that either because I don't think most black people can support that.
no, not most, but it is an answer that a segment is giving.
They wouldn't then make it just worse. Like, make people hate black people more.
Well, then, then you send out your black friend or whatever. You give him a gun and say, hey, go shoot that police officer or shoot at him. Then he dies, and you get reparations for it.
Like what?
That's how you start benefiting from that. People start exploiting that. It's not a lasting solution. It's more so something to just put in place. It's putting a band-aid over a bullet wound.
Well,
Here's what won't work, all right? And I'm going to point to what's happening here in Rochester is this Black Lives Matter at School Day, when there's so many other issues.
No.
they're
assaulting
it's
this
appeasing
community.
people. It's appeasing.
Yeah,
They want it, and then they're
Well,
getting it.
then how far are you gonna go? Is my issue.
As
No, do you
far
know
as
what-
you have to go
do you know
without
what
paying
people
money.
want?
Do you have to pay any taxes for this? It's clearly local politicians seeing people are pissed off.
No, it had
And
nothing to
taking-
do with local politicians. It had to do with the terrible school board that we have here in Rochester. They are the highest paid, and we have one of the worst school districts here.
Did they approve
47% graduation rate. What was your question?
Did they who approved the Black Lives Matter Day?
I can't say,
Oh, okay. I can't
but
say shit
it
about
was
them, so.
within the
Yeah,
school
I guess it's
administration.
just,
I don't know if the school board
Whatever.
had much to do with it, but they do have oversight when it comes to these types of things, and I think they're really ignoring some of these key issues here.
Well, think about it as
What do you guys think about white privilege?
I hate using that term. The word privilege is all but lost its meaning these days. It's I don't really. There are certain things that happen because you're white. There are certain things that happen because you're black. I wouldn't necessarily attribute them to this non-existent privilege.
Okay, so you might agree with me then. I hold this controversial opinion that I don't think white privilege exists.
I don't either. No.
Okay, what do you think, Amaya, about that?
Like, in what sense do you think it will exist?
Okay, so here's why I don't think it exists. I don't think that there's a special club that white people get to go to
Yeah, I
only.
agree.
I don't think that they the word privilege it insinuates that you have some sort of benefit that other groups don't. And the truth is that's just not the case. You could meet a white guy on the street who was just as disadvantaged early in his life, and then you could find a successful black lawyer who never encountered racism in his life.
Yeah.
So I think that the problem that we see is discrimination against minorities, and we need to work to bring those people up, not to bring people down or remove. I think
when you say bring those people up, what do you mean?
Well, we need to do things that negate discrimination and prejudice. Obviously, that's a hard issue in itself to tackle. But I think when you start talking about white privilege, it's more about we need to be taking away things from people. And I think that's too why we saw a lot of resistance to Black Lives Matter, because I don't think white people are special snowflakes or anything like that. But I think that there was this kind of narrative that it was anti-white and people couldn't support it because they felt that hate and anger that we were talking about. So I don't think white privilege is a thing just because I think that the level that white people are at is the level we need to be bringing everybody to. I don't think we should be working to bring anybody
If there's
down.
a level that you want to bring everybody to, it's the Asians. They have it much better off than any other race in the U.S.
Yeah. So that's another thing too. We never hear about Asian privilege.
That's
The
the
thing,
anomaly.
and do you know why that is? It's because they shut their mouths and they mind their business. They do what they have to do and they move up.
Goes
Right.
against the narrative like minorities are always oppressed.
Yeah, definitely.
There is a certain
The thing about
degree.
Asians is they're very disciplined. They're very disciplined. And very diligent in what they have to do. So I always bring up this example. And they like to stick together too. You see, like the Chinese stores, and you'll find Chinese stores basically anywhere in the U.S. But specifically in Black stores, where doesn't matter where. What they do is right. They set up shop. Everybody loves Chinese food, so you go get your Chinese food, right? And the business is booming. They do well. Suddenly they can move up to like an actual restaurant somewhere or whatever. And so what happens, right? They have another Chinese family coming in. They say, hey, we're moving out of this building, but you can take our shop. You can set up shop or whatever, get your bearings, and move up just like we did. And they go, okay, yeah, that sounds like a good idea. And so one family moves up, the other sets up shop, and the whole process starts over again. And they don't get mixed up. They rarely get mixed up with anything. They go to school, they come back, they get good grades or whatever. They move up, they get their jobs, they move up in the field. They rarely get mixed up or with anything.
It has to do a lot with the culture.
Yeah.
And I think we pointed out earlier that was a lot of the problems in these same communities.
Yeah.
Is it's a bad sort
I would
of culture.
We're this sort of, when you liken it to the Black community, you have Asian cultures. They're very hardworking. They're very diligent. They're focused on success. Really, they're focused on getting what they need to get done, and doing it in the most legal way possible. And when you go to the Black community, I guess I said it earlier. You have this avoiding of authority, this distrust of authority. You're never going to be able to do anything but sell drugs or gangbang or rob stores or anything like that. And if you do these things and you're actually successful with them, you can have nice cars, you can have the nice girl around your arm, you can have the nice house, and you can do all this while selling dope and avoiding the police. And that narrative has spread throughout the Black community, in my opinion. And a lot of people think this. I don't think that's a good thing, because we're vastly different from the Asian community, and I think that's led to our downfall. Partially, obviously, this is one of the things that you can change internally. This is one of the things that the community themselves has to change because the government can't step in and do it for us.
Right. Amaya, I was actually wondering, what do you think about Indian Americans? Do you think they're disprivileged in the United States?
Not in the financial sense or like anything like that, but maybe like for me, those who come not those who are born here but come from India, they might face, because there are some instances like kids who have died. We know about it in India, like in Australia, not just in America. In Australia and UK, specifically, they have been targeted because they are Indian. Just I would say physical violence would be a major thing Indians would face. Other than that, nothing else. It's pretty equal.
Yeah, I think they're grouped in with people of color most of the time when it comes to this thing. But for the most part, what I see is that the Indian immigrants are coming over. They're being Uber drivers, and then it's
well, it's like when the Indians come over, they do whatever they can.
It's comparable. They are in Asia, so there is some bleeding over.
Culture is pretty similar.
There's some bleeding over.
They'll take whatever positions they can, and they'll do it to the best of their ability.
Right. Yeah, and it's good that we have like conversations like these, and I want to encourage other people to
definitely.
have these same sorts of conversations, because I think it opens up not only solutions. We hit a lot of solutions today, but the lasting impacts on
I think it's a
on
very
society
good
and
thing to
our
have
lives.
discourse. Very good thing to have some discourse.
Yeah, and I think that's a good way to end it.
Yep.
Boom.
Yeah.
This is Issues in America.